there is going to be disruption with AI. We've seen it with other technologies like this, and I'm sorry, but yes, it's difficult to modernize. And if you can't do it right or don't know how to modernize or aren't working with a consulting company that's done it 50 times.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our #1 priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Well, hello and welcome to Analysts Gone Wild. Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Sometimes these big mics are not as good as they look, but we'll get it to work today. Anyways, episode 23, Sam, we're having a pretty good year here. We got a great team on the call today. Why don't we kind of go around the horn? Let me introduce myself first. Robert Kramer, more insights and strategy. I cover data, ERP, everything that relates to data, how we get everything to work with all the data management strategies. And the team on the call here has a lot of great background as well and kind of puts me to the test. So why don't we start with Sashi?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Very happy to be with this distinguished panelists. I consider them friends, and it's been a while. I work for the Infotech Research Group. I'm trying to figure out what category I fit in. So I just said business software. So anything that a business needs that's not highly technical, I probably covered. But I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot from these people too today.
Sounds good. John, well, we saw each other about a month ago in Las Vegas, and we talked a lot about wine and olive oil. You're located in Italy, so tell us a little bit about what's going on there today and how you're doing.
Yeah, John Santaferraro, about 30 minutes outside of Florence. I am the host of The Digital Analyst. We just hit 350 views for 18 episodes, which I think is pretty good. CEO and head research analyst at Ferraro Consulting LLC, and been covering data and AI and analytics and everything related for about 30 years now. It feels like a long time.
Sounds good. Thomas, what value you bring to the table today? A lot about CRM and things of that nature. Did you move yet, by the way? You're in Seattle, right?
No, I just came back from buying a house in Charleston. So
he's going by bicycle.
There's a contract pending. Let's put it like that.
Oh, good.
Building inspection.
Did you use AI to figure out where to live?
Pardon me?
Did you use AI to figure out where to live?
Partly. Partly. So there's the whole research work can change using generative AI. Means tools like Gemini or ChatGPT. So look for a neighborhood where you can get some insurances, where the school zone is good, where the flood risk is not too bad. So then and please stack rank that to me with the following priorities. And well, then you get an idea of how things, on which neighborhoods to look at first. Doesn't mean you end up there, but it gives you a start of about where to look at. So
beautiful city.
And guess what? We didn't end up precisely where the tool said. About me, I'm the CEO and principal analyst of AdCRM. As the name suggests, we are covering whatever is in the wide area of CRM, or we're starting with C acronyms, so CX, CI, was it AI, mobility, commerce. So this is our haunt.
Sounds good. And Sam?
Yeah, Sam Gupta, Elevate IQ. Our focus is enterprise software. And Robert, when you were talking about, I don't know, I misheard. You were talking about wine, and John, since you pointed out that this is the #1 show, and I guarantee that this is going to be the grumpiest show ever. You are not going to find grumpier show than this, so that's why we are. All right, Robert, over to you.
Well, good. Well, we got some good stuff to talk about today. There's obviously a lot happening in the world with supply chain and the government, and different things on regionally, but we have still some movement with enterprises, coming together and partnering, and we're going to go over those things as well. We'll try and stay away from any politics, right, guys? But so NT Logistics and Q'd expanded their partnership. So NT Logistics is a third-party logistics provider, and Q'd is a SaaS platform specializing in what Sam mostly like dock and facility scheduling. So from my perspective, you can always enhance these platforms with more capabilities to deliver better efficiencies to the customers. So the customers potentially, I guess, would get more logistics capabilities, orchestrating some of these manual tasks, reducing some of the things that they're focused on, which is on-time deliveries and fees that they provide to their customers. What do you guys all think? Is this a big deal? Standard, just another year that they needed to add more features, or what do we think?
I can start unless anybody wants to take this one.
Go ahead, Sam. I have something.
Yeah. So this is a very interesting space, Robert. As you know, 3PL space is very unique, and I don't know how much background you guys have in the 3PL space. That differs from your traditional supply chain, even though people sort of mix it. So 3PL is a very, 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 very different business model. The kind of challenges that they have is very different. In general, these are not ERP-centric industries, very, 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 very different and complex. So here,
can you explain why it's complex? Because I think a lot of people don't understand what these companies are doing if they don't have this software or something like this, and so why it's such a big deal.
Yeah, so if you look at the traditional commerce, that's fairly standardized. The way you process your transactions, the way you process your invoices. When you look at the supply chain space, the kind of customers you are going to serve, the kind of movements that you are going to do from the supply chain space, whether you are doing ocean versus your air, the compliance is very different. The interaction model is very, very, very different. The settlement is going to be very different. The claims is going to be very different. And generally, the way these companies operate, like in, I would say 10 years back, everybody sort of had the custom software because no one software could accommodate everything. They would probably have TMS, but TMSs are all over the place as well. Some might work for some companies, but it's very rare. So in general, they would have a very custom software. And if you look at 3PL is all over the place overall from the definition perspective as well. Sometimes these are going to be just the carrier companies, okay, that they have a bunch of fleets. Sometimes they are going to be owner operator, but sometimes they have the real warehouse where they are sort of storing the product for somebody else. So it becomes very, very, very different processes because then you have to manage with I don't know how many different customers, and that's a very wholesale centric model. So here with AI, I can see some value because, again, with these companies, I mean, they were spending like millions and millions of dollars. And even then, it was very hard for them to be successful with technology just because of all of this custom stuff. So now, if AI is going to help, and I don't know about Quad, what they do, to be completely honest, but sounds very promising, whatever I'm reading here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that Quad might actually be Q'd, since they're doing the scheduling, but I'm going to speak from an agentic point of view because I think that this is a good step forward for bringing agentic types of workloads into the logistics world. What I was most impressed with, though, is that if they are actually getting 98% ideal delivery times and scheduling appointments in seconds, that is a huge value proposition for customers that are trying to do this manually. And given the two companies are working together, it seems like something that might be opening this up to the small and medium-sized business market as well. that this makes it doable. I mean, it's only the big logistics companies that can do things like this. So I think that's a positive thing. On the agentic side, it's still pieces, parts. I mean, eventually all of these agents in logistics have to learn to work together, and we're nowhere near that at this point. So that's my take.
Yeah.
I have a story to tell. This is
Good.
almost going back 25 years when I used to manage the website software support team. So this was the early days of the web, right? 2000. So this company calls me and says they're a trucking company, and I tell them, like, what are you using the website for? All that the website had was capacity and the place. So it said, like, every trucker of ours now is actually going to the website every morning to choose which load that they want to carry and kind of allotting it. Now, so I think this should have happened years ago if this technology that's available today was already there. Because I think I'm particularly thinking about the automatic confirmation. That's huge, right? Like, that means instead of saying, yes, I want to move this from one place to another, you're actually already like in the process. And that's probably what, John, you're referring to, like almost the agent will do it, will say like, yes, everything, this checks all the boxes and we'll go. And, the time factor is also good. Logistics, and Sam, you're probably much more of a specialist in logistics software. They have to move very rapidly in terms of upgrading their software, and I think this is a good step there.
Yeah, but don't you guys think there's some prerequisites needed here? Who says this is going to work like it says it is that quick? I think there's some transformation and resource allocation critical to defining what data needs to be in place for this to happen. I'm not sure if it's as seamless as it says. I think it's great that it can happen, but at the same time, it's a problem if it doesn't work right. Sam, I mean, you have a lot of experience with this. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's given with any software initiative, I guess. But, I really want to piggyback on Sashi's point, and that is, going to reinforce some of the points that, Robert, you were mentioning, and to clarify why this industry is different. So he was hitting on some very important point in terms of the order type. The order type that you are going to have in the logistics space is very different because you have from and to. You don't have some sort of item and then quantity. It's a very different transaction, very different business model. And that's why the whole processes, they are very, 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 very different. So again, and Sashi, you were right that this is a penny business. I call this a penny business, just like your gas stations, right? And here it's all about space utilization. It's all about movement. So there's a real pain here. Again, 98% or 96%, I don't know how to read that. It could be similar to how I'm claiming number one. It doesn't mean anything, to be completely honest. But, I don't know how true that is, but if they are able to achieve that, that's commendable.
Thomas, what do you think?
I mean, it's a bit outside of my usual path, but so let me just look at the structure of the press release or the announcement. So it solves a very specific problem, which is good. Well, it talks about a very specific problem that gets solved, which is pretty much amazing, actually. And even more amazing is piggybacking on what John said. It's talking about results, which is mostly missing in this type of, or in many types of press releases. So there are talking functions and features. Here we are talking about a specific problem that can get solved using technology. And this is the outcome, or a sample outcome at least. Whether this can be used by smaller companies, I don't know, because of the integration capabilities, and it particularly talks about a large CPG company. So largest customer, let's say, implies that it's a fairly big company. But yeah, so specific problem, outcome, which makes it a release to look at.
Yeah. I also want to add a personal experience. Beginning of the year, I ordered a washing machine from a very well-known, reputed global company. The software was excellent, sent me like updates and updates and updates. The day the machine was going to be delivered to my house, silence. I called their support, they don't know where it is, So I escalated it right to the CMO, chief sales officer, and everybody else. So that goes to show we need this software very much because you lose reputation because of that, right? And it has to work well too. When you have so many connections between people who are doing the last mile delivery, so the delivery part of it, you've got to connect even the smaller people quite well. So I think it's high time they did this.
Yeah. So Sashi, I guess, and that could be aligned with Robert's point as well. Generally with these transactions, it's not that it's going to be only one company that is going to be involved. It's easier said than done, to be completely honest, because of the organizational misalignment and organizational silos, and they are by design. You can't change that because it's not that, you are going to host all of these companies in one system and that is going to work magically, because each company is different. They have their own politics. They have to manage their own relationships. So that's why it is so difficult. And especially in the last mile delivery space, you are probably working with a very small company and their systems are generally not connected. So, there is only so much you can do, I guess.
Yeah. On another story, I have a friend of mine who runs all the manufacturing facilities for a very significant chemical manufacturer that's global, probably $50-100 billion. And just a long story short, they have multiple ERPs. You can keep it on whatever slide you want. They have multiple ERPs, and half on-prem, half in the cloud, maybe less than half in the cloud or whatnot. And I was talking to this person last week, and I said, what's going on with the transformation? They said they tried to transform and they tried to get it to a modernization level, which that word is a tricky word. What does it really mean, modernization? And that's another topic. But they said they tried it for 3 or 4 months and they had so much downtime. You have to kind of think of these things like the only thing that's important to these companies is their operations to not be any delays and lose money. It has to be all efficiencies. And that's what I always talk about, like change management, fear factor. How do these companies, these technologies are so fantastic, but if they can't use them, they can't implement them, what's the use? A lot of these companies are so far behind that the catch up is so extraordinary that when they hit potholes, they run into significant problems. I don't know, Sam, you're in this, and the ERP is even more significant than I am. What do you think about that? How do these companies bridge that gap? I know it's not the topic for today, but it is now, I guess.
Yeah, honestly speaking, Robert, that's probably going to be a problem. I don't think anybody can solve that problem, to be completely honest. Again, because of politics, because of the alignment that different companies have, internal politics, external politics. So it all falls under that change management piece. And that's more than technology, in my personal experience.
But don't you think the vendors have to fix that for them to be successful and the customers to be successful? Two different journeys.
Even if vendors try to do that, to be completely honest, sometimes customers don't want to change themselves. And vendors are going to get bad name out of it. So what's the point? Look, you are selling a software. Just it's in your lane that you are selling a software. That's the reality, right? If customers want to change, they have to figure out their own journey and path. Yeah, and that costs money, and that's why you have consulting companies in the world.
Well, it's a good point, but I think it's one of those things that it plays a role with adoption of any of these transformation components that we're talking about, that you have to have resources and buy-in for it to be successful. It's a big thing. Anyway,
Robert, I think the other issue though is that if you don't do it, there is going to be disruption with AI. We've seen it with other technologies like this, and I'm sorry, but yes, it's difficult to modernize. And if you can't do it right or don't know how to modernize or aren't working with a consulting company that's done it 50 times to at least alleviate some of your effort, if you can't do it, there will be disruption. And companies that can't figure it out, I think, will be disrupted.
Yeah, but I do think it's important for the vendors to divide by innovation aptitude, size of company, industry, and where those companies are at from resources to decide where they put them in for those transformations, because they're not equal.
Yeah, agreed.
So I think it's so complex, and that story that I was telling is probably a common one, and it's going to, and those companies are going to throw their hands up and said, I'm just going to just employ 25 developers, programmers, analysts on site, and I'll tackle it myself, because they cannot risk loss. And that's what happened to this company. They had 2 months of like downtime, like we're done, know. So the customers start losing ground. Okay, let's go into Priority Software launches aiERP. So Priority Software is a ERP vendor. Sam, mostly mid-market, I guess I would say. You're probably more familiar with them, but aiERP is a native AI feature integrated. They're putting it into some of their data entry, nothing new, analytics, conversational things, chats, stuff like that, logistics, finance. Is this something that is what we wouldn't expect? This is part of the course as they develop further. What do you think?
Let me start slamming it before Sam goes into details.
He'll probably be nice.
This is...
I just teed it up, so I didn't...
Yeah, I'll take the slam dunk then. So this is a prime example of a non-information. So no news at all in there. So there's nothing that is specific to them. Everybody and their dog is doing the same. Yeah. So there's nothing about outcomes. It's all function and feature, and then it's nothing new.
Okay.
So Thomas, I gotta jump on that, because I put it into my hype score meter, and it gave this press release a hype score of 94 out of 100. That is almost as bad as it can get. It identified 47 hype words or phrases: game-changing, groundbreaking, revolutionary, leading, global power, transformative, revolutionizes, intelligent, seamless, intuitive, cutting-edge, powered features. I can't do all 47, but it and the things that are in the AI list, as the AI guy here, not that you guys aren't, but that's my area. None of that. All of that was being done probably 10 years ago. So there is a little problem here. I guess they have to do something like this to show that they're at least in the game. I don't quite get it.
Yeah, well, they're adding to the noise.
Yep.
Yeah, I wish people would stop inventing terms or adding more acronyms like aiERP. I think unless they name the product.
Don't put marketers out of business.
Well, Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, so I guess, from my perspective, I don't pay attention to those buzzwords. I try to pay attention to the core intent of the story. And in my mind, I think there is something here that I like. So I'm going to disappoint John and Thomas that this story does have a little meaning, I would say. Okay, so I'll give you guys a little background. And you mentioned that they are mid-market. Sure, they are mid-market, but they are also going to have a lot of large logos as well. But their majority of business is in Israel. And some of these localized ERP vendors, they do really well in one region, and then it becomes hard for them to penetrate into the other market. They are doing good business in the Europe market as well. Now, they have a lot of logos in North America too. But for the most part, their penetration is really in the Israel market. So here, obviously, and by the way, they are funded by BlackRock, I believe. So it's a big, giant private equity backing them. So a couple of things, from the AI perspective, as you guys mentioned, that it's probably going to be a lot of noise. But I do like some of the things. For example, if you look at the workspace recommendations for user experience, I don't know how many companies have mentioned that. I don't know if this is going to fall into the agentic space, but I can see the use of this from the user experience perspective. The next thing is going to be the whole reporting engine. I think we saw this with Pipe, Drive. I think they were trying to automate the whole reporting engine as well. And that is the second bullet point that we have here, which says employs natural language to query structured data or build, agent-like business rules. So here they are trying to automate that, which is going to be a big deal, guys. This is where the majority of the consulting dollars are spent from the company's perspective. So that's a huge value, at least in my mind, from the AI perspective and what they are building.
Sam, whatever you said should have been in the press release, not these.
And as said, everybody and their dogs are doing this. There's nothing that stands out. Nothing. So if at all they are screaming that they are laggards, trying to catch up with the world. So whoever is responsible for this press release, well, should follow Fashi's advice and go out of marketing business.
So, Sashi, on that point, I think everybody's meant to have a job, and we have a job as well. And that's the job of the analyst to provide more details and more context on the story. So I think, I don't know if that all can be done as part of the story.
I mean, you're right. Like, I think they are solving problems for very specific industries that doesn't appear in this, at least in this blurb, right? So, I mean, as I say, the first 5 words should actually tell you why you should read this article. Right? That's what's important.
All right. Well, we'll leave that one as we felt it could use a little bit more definition on business impact for the customers versus features and functionality. So,
yep.
You get to the point where AI is standard. We know that everybody needs to put it in there, but like, what is the outcome going to deliver, and why is it important instead of just marketing? I think, Thomas, that's what you're saying. It's too heavy. And, John put it through the hype meter, and it was, crazy. Those words that mentions are just, I'm not sure it gets attention to the customers, because the customers get it now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go to the next one, which we are dealing with Progress Software. So they're actually releasing new developer frameworks. Sam, you're probably more familiar with this, but I guess the Telerik is more of a like a toolkit, and the Kendo is a UI, but they're developing additional things to bring AI capabilities. But again, do we need announcements on this every time, or is this going to really, show something unique here? Because I'm not seeing this. I'm with Thomas on the last one. I think this is great, but at the same time, are they grasping for press releases that this has to be released? And I'd like to see how it's going to affect, revenue, instead of just talking about the hype. But what do you guys think?
Thomas?
It has some similarities to the last one. It's talking to the hype.
What's the business impact? I obviously they're able to, it's a developer friendly, features, but like, why can't we see like what this is going to be downstream? How much is this going to benefit the customers by KPIs, or show us POCs that you've done that this customer in this industry is benefited by this?
Well, they mentioned one, accelerate development workflows. So
I think, I think in general, like, you keep hearing the term vibe coding and people just going to a normal LLM and doing things, right? Now, there are 2 advantages of using AI for coding. Number one is some of the repetitive tasks that you used to do, like now you don't have to do. And plus, you don't have to hire a senior developer, doesn't have to hire another junior developer to do the repetitive tasks. But just going to an LLM and asking that question is probably not the right strategy. So here, I think they have not said it in this, but having to modify, not having to modify the code much because of using this kind of proprietary software is probably the biggest advantage of this release. Like you said, the AI capabilities, I mean, again, probably if you put it into a hype meter, I don't know what will come out of that. But there is an advantage for companies that have huge software development teams and want not to hire more people and get more productivity out of existing teams.
Right.
Shashu, only 41 buzzwords in this one.
Okay. All right.
89 versus 94 on the hype scale. But I do like the fact, I think it's important for application vendors and even coding application vendors to start putting in these Gen AI reporting engines to allow people to ask questions of the data. That it's become commonplace in the BI world, in the business intelligence world. And it makes sense that this company is doing that. I just had a conversation with another application vendor about a month ago, and they tried to embed BI and they couldn't get their users to use it. So they literally are almost throwing it out and skipping, trying to do AI agents. But the intelligence piece of the ERP system is incredibly important. So I would say kudos to them for putting in a more natural language interface for ERP users who are not BI experts, right? I mean, they understand reports. They don't understand dashboards and creating business intelligence applications. So I think it's a positive.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Or
guys, yeah, so this is very interesting. And I think this is the second story we are covering about Progress Software. And last time, I believe we had Hian, who had a lot more background on this one, just because he covers development a lot more. Thomas, you do as well, I guess. And that's why you are probably liking the story just a little bit. I don't know. I could not gauge whether you liked it or didn't. Sometimes it's hard.
I'd like to see a bit more speak about outcomes. In general, this is the I wouldn't even say trend. It's the necessity that builders of development environments need to provide. This is what they are talking about here.
Yeah. So personally, Robert, I mean, I'm a big fan of alignment with the target audience, target customer. Okay. When you look at developer ecosystem and development persona, it's a very different persona than a business persona. And the reason for that is because developers don't like anything related to business. That's how they are, to be completely honest. Okay. So now when you are writing a story, and here your target customer is really developers, even though it's going in the massive pool, but your reader base is still going to be developers. That's what you are targeting. So you want to focus your story on developers' needs as opposed to the business, because they are not going to read it. So I don't know where you draw the line to make it technical versus business focused story. Business focused stories are going to be important for the business focused audience, and that's why you have ERP and other things. I mean, they are generally very business focused, but this is a very technical story. So I mean, in my mind, I like it, and the kind of things that they are doing, it's very important. It's, in my mind, it's still non-AI, even though they are saying AI powered. The kind of things that they have done, and it's a huge value, I would say, for what they have done here.
You should focus on who's going to pay the bill or sign the contract.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a good point too. I think you have to do both, to be honest. I think it's important to show the practical, the technical, and the really what the business impact is, and however that message is. Because to me, when it's too technical, it's too much. When it's too light and too hyped, it's not effective. I think it has to be a combination. I'm not sure who's writing these, but it's just my viewpoint as an ex-marketing person. It has to be very impactful either way, and the fluff needs to be very low. But one of the things that's important, I think, too, Sam and everyone, is, don't you guys think these companies that are buying technology and going through transformation, don't you think they need to know what's after all this? Like, what's coming down the chutes beyond AI, the future of automation, the industry 5.0, the 6.0, are we doing APIs? Are we going agent to agent? Like how the need to progress with technology is so important, from the word modernization that we use, but to transform. And all these tools need to be business benefits and competitive advantages for these companies, not just commercials of information that they are trying to decide what they need and what they don't need. That was a lot, but I think that they're getting these technology stacks are getting so outgrown at these companies that they don't know which way is up, and they're not focused on really what they need, and they might not know.
Yeah, this is also probably an upgrade to people who are already in the system, right?
Yeah. But if you own a production company, don't you need to understand what you need and only buy what you need? Like, I think there's so much technology out there. Why do you need the technology, and what's going to happen in 5 years? I mean, where are we at? Where are we going? And streamline your company to take advantage of what's today and where you need to be tomorrow. Instead of like just climbing uphill all day. All these features, I think, are too much, and these companies probably they're not buying what everybody thinks they're buying, or they're buying too much. I don't know.
Yeah. So when you say production companies, I assume that you are meaning manufacturing, and I don't know if manufacturing is a target reader for this story, to be completely honest.
No,
maybe they're IT person.
I'm past this story. I'm just talking in general for transformation, and I think that the technology, if you kind of go beyond all the technology we've talked about today, it's not just about what's today. Like, don't you think when you make a selection, you need to know what you need for tomorrow? That's all. And I think
on the screen, I'm picking up on the PDF processing library for instant document insights. I think to what John said, like if you can get a lot of business insights, and this is probably everybody in the company is going to use that. But is it the developer who's going to tell the business user to use it, or is it the software provider who says that, hey, we not only cater to developers, but every business user can also use this?
Yeah, and Shashi, we also need to find out who's going to pay the bills. So as long as you are giving that for free, I think everybody's going to be happy about it. And as soon as I'm going to ask $1,000 just to read those insights, I don't know how many buyers are going to be there.
Yeah.
But chances are some other software that you're already using is going to provide that too.
Yeah.
In answer to what Robert said a bit earlier, so where is it going? It's going into automation everywhere, automate everything. Yeah. So, and that starts with the easier, maybe less value generating processes, the ones that do not make a difference, and then goes from there. The other dimension is simple to complex. Yeah. So this is what all user companies would like to achieve. And this is what all vendor companies would like to take a share of. So that's the paying the bill part. So the inhibitor is, where does the value generation happen actually? Or where does the value flow? How does the value flow? But on the outset, the end game is automation.
Yeah. I agree. All right. We have our friends at Sage have some new features. I think we got the next couple of slides that's on Sage. This is regarding their acquisition of the company Anvil, and they've integrated their features into the supply chain intelligence. I think this is, again, one of those, Thomas, it's like, we expected it, and it's something that it doesn't talk again about what the exact, it has a little bit, but what we should expect. I mean, when you say 35%, helping, operators with those delays, I mean, I like to see a little bit more, like by industry, what it's exactly doing, and how they're overcoming these. Because I think, what some real world examples of, the supply chain and disruptions that are happening with weather and the global economy, and also with the war, like this software has helped do this, and this. And I'm not seeing that, but obviously it's a big deal, supply chain. I actually just wrote a big supply chain article for Oracle recently, and it goes into a lot of these details. And I think it's super important that companies have an advanced solution because of the fact that it's a big deal. But this is more around intelligence, though.
Yeah, this seems to be. Sorry, go ahead, Thomas.
No. Shall we play the polite game? You go.
No, I was actually, I don't remember where I was listening to this, probably on Marketplace, but there's a big war going on between Amazon and Walmart on helping local businesses, send their products across the whole of the US. I think Walmart actually got ahead of the game. Now Amazon is catching up in a way, back to that almost 24-hour delivery. But I think the small businesses still had a problem on how do they take the stuff from their place of manufacture to the warehouse. This seems to be what is the solution to the first mile, as they mentioned in their press release, right? So first I thought like, hey, why is Sage trying to compete with something that's already there? I mean, if people choose Amazon or Walmart to as a third-party seller, why would they go and start their own logistics? But this seems to be the first mile part of it, which may be very important to get it as quickly as possible so that they are well connected within the ecosystem for, especially for this one-day delivery. By the way, do you guys like the one-day delivery? I think sometimes it's really amazing. You order it in the night and by morning, it's already delivered.
I like 1 second delivery.
I mean, I don't know how they do it, but in India, there's a 10-minute delivery by two large companies. That's really amazing.
That's human AI.
Yeah, so
I think I have a question for Sage, and it's just not clear in the press release that what they did besides rebranding the product. I mean, that's great that you can buy a company in October of 2024, and 9 months later you're able to maybe integrate it, and it says that it was extended or expanded, but it never says. It never gives you the delta. It's like, just tell us, please, what did you do with it? Rebranding that's an odd thing to even put in there. We rebranded it. Great. We took out their logo. We put our logo in. It's just not clear. Anyway, not clear to me what they actually did.
Yeah, same here. And then there's two more, let's say, grieves that one could have. It starts off with the leader in accounting, payroll, and HR. And what the heck does that have to do with supply chain management? So the link is very weak. And the other part is right at the bottom, helping them to automate. So the intelligence is one thing. It's a good thing to have. Well, you at least know where it hurts. But the link into becoming actionable needs to become far closer. So actually the solution needs to be offered right away. And that's where, well, the world currently is with generative feature. We just had the acceleration of development part in the story before. So offer a solution right away and not say, here, it's hurting, consider some automation, and then do it yourself.
Yeah, so guys, I'll provide some details here. And sometimes, I mean, I kind of struggle because I don't know how you can provide a very, very detailed story in 300 words. Maybe you guys are far more skilled than anybody else in the market, that you can probably do it. But that is generally a challenge. And that's where I strongly feel that you need a little bit of tribal knowledge to be able to follow these stories, to be able to understand. And that's where I'll provide a little context so that everybody's sort of clear, where this story is. So in general, when you look at the supply chain suite, it has three different buckets. So number one is going to be your network. Number two is your intelligence piece, which is your SNOP. And then number three is going to be the execution piece that Shashi was trying to mention. When you have to move these things, for that, you would require execution piece. In this case, Sage is not doing execution. This is purely intelligence, BI, data-centric piece. This is going to be your macro planning, is what they are trying to do from the mid-market, customer perspective. They are not trying to get into execution. It's really that intelligence piece. And now, I guess, overall, from the integration perspective, the comment that you had mentioned, I believe, John, so in this particular case, the integration is not as critical because you are simply integrating your macro level planning to your transactions. So generally, it's going to be just one element, which is a very light integration. You don't require very intertwined integration, the way integration is going to work in the transactional systems. So it's slightly different the way it works. And now coming back to your rebranding, etc., I guess, I mean, that's very common. So I'm not going to comment on that. And to your comment, Thomas, related to HR data, why it is relevant, if you look at things such as your connected planning, there are some companies that are doing that. So you do require HR data and labor data to be able to plan for supply chain intelligence. So that's why HR is sort of there. I don't know how much connected planning they are doing because it's a very small piece of software. So I doubt if they have all of that, but this is really the supply SNOP, very small SNOP software. It's not as big as something like Anaplan or Blue Yonder. It's definitely not that, or
Right.
Kinaxis.
Right.
I have a question for the whole panel. There are very few new companies coming up that are catering to the small and medium businesses. I think most people want to make a lot of money very quickly. So as soon as they get product market fit, they're saying, let's go enterprise, right? So I think I'd give some credit to some of the existing players who are still continuing to serve the small business market, which I think in terms of numbers is very high, may not be in profitability. So what do you all think?
In my personal, go ahead, Thomas, go ahead.
Many of these younger companies should concentrate more on smaller companies. This is a trust issue because, I mean, if I were, let's say, a Siemens, just to name a very big brand, then why would I bother with a company that is 2 years old and doesn't even have the credentials to prove its jobs?
Yeah, that's true.
That is far easier on the mid-scale market. And yes, the sales cycle is different. And yes, the possible revenue implications are different too, because I don't sell that many subscriptions. However, I count them in one shot. Means I have more sales cycles, means the profitability is lower, but this is where you gain your credibility.
Yep. So thank you.
I mean,
the market is probably less crowded.
I mean, that cater to that, and they're pretty established as well. But I don't know, Sam, what do you think? What's your answer?
Yeah. So honestly speaking, when you look at SMB customers, I mean, they are really annoying, to be completely honest. Like, you invest a lot more than what you are going to make, and their maturity is going to be really low. So it's very hard to serve them, and that's probably the reason why everybody wants to go to enterprise customers, because that's where the money is. But at the same time, I mean, I do believe in product market fit, that, okay, everybody needs to stay in their lane. Just because you are positioning that you can target enterprise and your product is sitting in somewhere in mid-market, you have sold to 5 logos that have 5 people, it's not going to take you anywhere. So that alignment is very different. But as Thomas pointed out, that the go-to-market strategy is very different as well. Okay, when you are serving small customers, please don't expect the customer service the way Amazon is going to provide. If somebody is expecting that, they need to figure out how to pay their bills. It doesn't work that way, right? Because Amazon is a very different company. And these smaller companies, when you are going for QuickBooks, please don't expect any customer support, because you're literally paying $30 a month. And what do you get in that? Nothing. So that's where, I guess, what you are paying, what your target market is. Don't overclaim, just stay in your lane. And, that's what I feel. I mean, I like to go for realism as much as possible.
Don't dream too much, yeah.
Well, do we have anybody? I know that Leonard's been making a lot of comments. I'm not sure that we have some things that we wanted to chat about still. You want to take a quick look, and we can maybe hit one more slide?
Yeah, let's go for some of the comments. Just one second. So Let me bring some. So we have some internal comments as well. This was a great discussion. So Leonard, so this was probably on the first story. So Leonard is saying, I'm thinking that a lot of IoT devices for data tracking and connections are needed. I wonder if smaller companies are doing that. I'm sure the larger ones are doing it, plus interfacing with traffic and weather and those weight inspection stations. So Leonard, in my personal experience, I guess you might have scenarios where you might have value from these integrations and data, but for SMB customers, it's generally rare. That's my experience. What do you guys think?
I think it's a critical component going down the future path. These companies are going to need that data tracking. So I think it's not standardized. There's a lot of equipment issues and OS issues, but I think a lot of companies want the information, and it will be critical to Industry 5.0 and 6.0 for these companies to be able to take advantage of that data. But in my opinion.
Maybe one of you guys knows the answer to this, but I don't, but it makes me curious about how fleet management solutions work together with the supply chain intelligence and supply chain applications. It seems like they have to, so some of the things that they're doing here, it seems like would also be done in fleet management, but I'm not an expert in that.
I actually went to a Hitachi Digital Services conference. I think some of the use cases that they had said, especially with Penske, preventive maintenance. They said our business really goes down if one of our trucks breaks down when the customer, when it's doing a customer's job, right? So they've saved a lot of money and saved a lot of their reputation by the trucks almost being like IoT devices. And I think during the conference, what was said was like, especially in manufacturing, now you need to have intelligence from every device, irrespective of whether it's connected to the internet or not, right? So it may not be on the cloud, but it's got to talk to something and then get back, especially with even preventive maintenance and other things. So it was quite interesting. So I think it's a good point. But small companies may not have the ability to do this with the current providers. So they may have to go for a custom solution.
Yeah. And it requires intercompany integrations. The logistics providers regularly are not the ones who are the senders or the receivers. So there's quite a complicated network of integrations that becomes necessary.
One interesting use case that I thought was, especially with Hitachi Rail, right? They said, like, we have IoT connectivity on our trains, but what we are doing is we are also our cameras are looking at the track and sending that data back to the people who are maintaining the track because we are already there and we are already taking the picture. I thought that was a good use case too.
Yeah, great points, guys. So we have some more comments here. So John responded on that, and John is saying at least some of the newer vehicles are becoming more trackable. That will help. That is right. There are also telematic devices that are becoming more affordable and easier to deploy. So great point there. Unless do you guys have any comment on that? No? Okay. Leonard is saying we'll need this service for the cross-country move of Thomas. Okay, and Thomas is not willing to pay anything. I'm telling you that right now for that service. Are you, Thomas?
I'd also guess that my car has plenty of telemetry built in. So the challenge will be it's all based on phone connectivity. I mean, it has a built-in SIM card for this alarm button that is there. And as far as I do know, there are quite a lot of spots that are kind of underserved by phone providers at this time. So basically it needs satellite tracking. So, well, if you offer me that service, I might become your guinea pig, Leonard.
Okay, so we have some more comments here. So Thomas is saying, plus the route planning software becomes amazingly accurate. That's right as well. Any comments there? The route plan has already been done with a little help of Gemini. Prime concerns no more than 8 hours of driving per day. Dog-friendly route plan plus some sightseeing. So interesting
Come
comment.
on, I'm not driving across this darn continent. Just for driving.
So too much fun
It's
in
a
the
unique
comments.
chance to see something.
Yeah. Okay, so Leonard is saying they are trying to say, hey, we are in the AI game. Okay, let's move quickly. So we have some really long comment here.
Yeah.
Buzzwords.
Let John talk.
That's the 47 buzzwords.
47 buzzwords. Okay, so
Oh,
you
okay.
used AI for that, right, John?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Is
All right.
that a special tool, or do you just put it into a LLM?
Just an LLM with a fairly lengthy prompt that I created.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Old wine in new bottles.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys want to touch on any other comments. I think there are many. If you guys have any specific interest, I can bring them.
We have covered in the chat.
Okay, so then we can probably move. Robert, do you have any comments that you would like to touch? Or I'll come back to the story.
Why don't we wrap up? That way everybody gets a few minutes to say something. But like, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in your neck of the woods. So talk about what's going on in Seattle and Toronto and Italy, et cetera, and then how things are shaping up for your business and what suggestions you might have for based upon today's discussion for some of the audience, based on supply chain or AI or things of that nature. So, Sheesh, why don't we start with you? Kind of wrap up.
I think next week I'll be flying over John's house. I'll wave to him from the car, from the plane. But I think this is a trend that I'm seeing mostly is what you also said, Robert, is most communication should be about the benefit first and then talk about the details so that it's easy for people to say, okay, I need to pay attention to this. So that's not something new, but I think something to be remembered every time.
Well, that's interesting. Don't you think when you get a sales presentation, you want to talk about the business, you want to hear the business impact first, like just out of the gate, and then walk me through how you got there? Because if I have to wait and hear all the hype, we are losing interest. I mean, the customer is very astute, so I would think that they would be able to understand that it's hype only. I think these stories, most of them today, were a lot of that. But Thomas, let's go over to you.
Oh, well, for me, it's a bit of catching up with things that I couldn't do while looking at 20 houses in a compressed schedule. So that's what's going to happen the next weeks. And coming to or talking about releases, I'd add on to what Shashi just said and what I repeatedly said earlier. So come with outcomes. So it's a pyramid communication, outcome first, then why, how, what, perhaps, to follow Simon Sinek. But don't just fill it with buzzwords, or else John's buzzword meter will go haywire.
We should actually put that as a standard, Sam, like on all the press releases. It had a score of this or this.
Yeah, you might put it on the website, John.
All right, John, over to you.
I met this morning with an IT consulting company in Florence that works with some of the designer brands, which I'll leave unmentioned at this point, but there are quite a number of them right there in Florence. And it was interesting because he's in there coaching them about the possibilities of AI. And some of these big brands are a little bit late in terms of implementing AI, but they're really inspired by the fact that they can use AI personally. And then the other interesting thing to me is they're doing some discovery work around using the NFC chips in the iPhone. the near, I think what was it, near field locator?
Near field communication. Yeah.
Yes. So when you hold something up so that can actually launch automations in some of their supply chain and manufacturing. So I think it's cool to see. I'm not going to call them laggards because I think we're still early across the board. So it's fun to get that perspective and see what's happening here in Italy.
Well, that sounds good. I actually think that it's, so it's extremely hot here in Virginia Beach. So we're trying to get through all that. But, I thought today's discussion was, and I got to run in a minute, was very interesting, specifically with the third-party logistics software, Sam. I think that, that type of software that doesn't roll up, but maybe it does roll up to supply chain software. I think that's a great way to look at things. So,
yeah, awesome, guys. So since we have a minute, I'll wrap up quickly. And I don't know. We need to compare the heat. I think if you come to Toronto, it's really bad right now. So I don't know who's going to be harder, but it's really bad in Toronto. Talking about Toronto, we were thinking that Blue Jays are going to be number 1 in AL East. It was that great. Not in the last 2 or 3 games. So I don't know where we are going to land. So that's about Toronto. And that's it for today, guys. If you joined for the first time, this was our Analysts Gone Wild. And we meet every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern. So I'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.